Minneapolis, Minnesota, 1929. A pleasant city of lakes and parks, the vibrant commercial hub of an agricultural empire. It has prospered in the 20s. Business and civic leaders are certain that even better times lie just ahead. And yet, all is not well in the city of lakes, for Minneapolis is a city sharply divided. On the one hand, the employers, with their fine homes overlooking the western lakes. On the other, an almost totally non-unionized workforce whose wages are among the lowest in the nation. To prevent unionization, the employers bank on the Citizens Alliance, originally composed of small and middle-sized businesses, now the representative of the largest employers as well. The alliance combats union organizing by means of the stick and the carrot.
They used labor spies, infiltrating labor organizations. They used strong arm methods, physical force. But then on the other hand, they also used what they called the free employment service. That is to say, they would enable people who wanted jobs to get jobs without paying any fee to some kind of cutthroat employment agency.
Few businesses dare break the solidarity of the alliance to negotiate with labor. Those who do find themselves denied loans by the banks which form the backbone of the organization. Since the end of World War I, the Citizens Alliance has enjoyed almost total power. Wages, which rose 11% nationally during the 20s, have risen only 2% in Minneapolis. And in Minneapolis, workers have scarcely been affected.
People were desperate. People were starving. People were on half rations. I had a very menial job. I did a little shipping and receiving for the company I worked for and did their local loop deliveries. And I received $16 a week for 44 hours work. My brother drove a truck for Hall Supply Company, a bicycle concern. And he worked 54 hours a week, 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, for $15 a week. And there were a lot of men trying to raise families on $15 a week, and some even less. Conditions were terrible.
Plans.
Carl Skoglund, who I consider to be the master strategist, had laid out a plan to organize the Teamsters Union on an industrial basis rather than on a craft basis where just the driver was involved. And that meant taking in the drivers, the helpers, the warehousemen, anyone connected with the delivery or packaging or warehousing of cargo.
Organizing teams begin signing up hundreds of other truckers. The strike leaders plan a mass meeting for the 15th of April to publicize their aims. Scheduled to speak at the meeting is Floyd Olson, governor of Minnesota and leader of the Farmer Labor Party, which has united angry farmers with urban workers around a program of radical reform. By the end of the meeting, the union has over 3,000 members. The workers approve wage, hour, and working condition demands and vote to strike if the demands are rejected. Attacking its socialist leadership, the alliance refuses to recognize the union as a bargaining agent for the workers. The leadership of 574 believes a major strike will move other poor and working people to militant action. But 30,000 Minneapolis workers are without jobs. Their demands for public relief have been met by clubs. They are desperate, a potential army of strikebreakers. Aware of this, the Trotskyists persuade Teamster Local 574 to commit the union to the fight for public relief. The unemployed are invited to form their own section of the union. They sign up to serve as pickets instead of strikebreakers. On May 15th, with battle plans carefully mapped out, Local 574 of the Brotherhood of Teamsters votes to shut down Minneapolis. The strike headquarters is an old garage. Carloads of cruising pickets are dispatched from the garage to stop all trucks reported moving. A women's auxiliary of strikers' wives works 12-hour shifts to feed thousands of pickets. May 17th. The streets of Minneapolis are virtually empty. Sympathetic citizens like Kent Hatcher, a courier for a paper company, let the picket squads know the whereabouts of moving trucks.
I was more or less making deliveries around the loop, and if I would see any merchandise being moved by private car, by a small truck, I would call the union headquarters, and they would send a few men out to more or less stop the movement of goods.
Secretaries who are sympathetic to the strike listen in to the talk of their employers and give the union information on anti-strike plans. May 18th. The Citizens Alliance calls a citizens' rally to protest the strike. A law and order committee is appointed to work with city police to stop the picketing. Police arrest dozens of pickets in a sweep of the city. The Citizens Alliance is determined to move trucks and break the strike. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Saturday morning, May 19th. Police and hired deputies provide protection for the movement of trucks from the Bierman Fruit Company in the Market District of Minneapolis. Hundreds of unarmed union pickets and spectators argue with the police and try to keep the trucks from moving. Surrounded, the police use force to break up the crowd.
At a given signal, the police started to club us. Well, I don't remember much after that because I got hit on the head pretty bad, and more than once, obviously. And when I came to, I was laying in the Bierman Fruit House on the floor, and Harold Beal and Louis Scullard, both fellows of my squad, were also there, and they were bleeding pretty heavy.
Bruised and battered, the pickets retreat. Enraged, the strikers spend the next day preparing for violent battle. Aware of these preparations, the Citizens Alliance signs up hundreds of new deputies to strengthen the police. Even some prominent businessmen volunteer. Monday morning, May 21st. Several hundred police and deputies confront a comparable number of pickets at the Gamble Robinson Company in the Market District. As trucks begin to move, the battle flares. Suddenly, hundreds of additional strikers, armed with bats, appear out of nowhere and charge the police. Fierce hand-to-hand combat ensues and continues for hours. In the midst of the fight is a young Chippewa Indian named Happy Holstein, who has come to Minneapolis from the White Earth Reservation.
It was slaughter. We put about 40 in the hospital that morning, Minneapolis police. And I think that, to me, that was at the beginning of a strike. Show the guys that that they could do it, and the cops showed us how to swing clubs. And then the day before, and we learned fast. We beat them back, and so they shut the gates finally, and we left.
Both sides now continue to receive reinforcement. Other Minneapolis unions offer more money and men. The American Legion provides new deputies for the police force. On the morning of May 22nd, two hostile armies meet in the market. As a truck is loaded, the head cracking begins. Police and deputies flee the clubs of the pickets, who soon control the streets. Injured deputies and strikers lie groaning and bleeding on the cobblestones. 2 deputies die from the blows they receive. One, C. Arthur Lyman, president of the American Ball Company, is a director of the Citizens Alliance. The Battle of Deputies Run has ended in a rout. A prominent businessman is dead. Upset by what it considers the pro-employer bias of the city's dailies, Local 574 begins its own newspaper, The Organizer. July 6, 1934. Under the slogan, "Make Minneapolis a Union Town," several thousand Teamsters and supporters from all the unions in the city parade through downtown and meet at the Municipal Auditorium. The rally demands that the employers recognize 574 as the bargaining agent for all its members and increase wages or face another strike. The demands are rejected. July 16th. By secret ballot, the union votes to strike and elects a committee to coordinate activities. July 17th. Pickets fan out from new headquarters in the heart of downtown. They keep the streets nearly free of truck movements.
We exempted the milk trucks, any outfit that was running under union contract, because we weren't striking them. So we exempted them. The milk and ice, because there was an ice wagon drivers union, Local 221, that had a contract. We let them operate. And the streetcars, and I think the taxi cabs.
July 18th. Mayor Bainbridge of Minneapolis urges Governor Olson to mobilize the National Guard in case of new outbreaks of violence. July 19th. Minneapolis Police Chief Michael Johannes orders his men to begin moving goods. The police move a truck without resistance from the union. Friday, July 20th, 1934. Henry Ness is on picket duty for the union. He is riding on the back of a pickup with a dozen other strikers when a truck carrying merchandise pulls out from the Slocum Bergen warehouse near the market. The pickup in which Ness is riding moves quickly to intercept the truck. Standing by, a line of policemen are ready with their shotguns.
We heard the shooting. It was in the middle of the block. The truck would have tried to intercept the truck, I'm sure. That was the intent. But nobody got out of the truck, and the pictures will show police started to open fire on them. Harry and I and Ben Koski, and I remember Ben because we were all three injured, come out of that alley, and we ran into a policeman who was down on one knee, and he had a Sub-Thompson machine riot gun. And just as we come around the corner, he fired. And he knocked Harry DeBoer's leg. We didn't know how bad, but Harry fell down. Ben Koski's hand was right next to Harry's leg, and he pretty near severed it. And I got the balance of the charge, lacerations in the stomach area, and I got some cracked ribs out of it. I thought I was killed because I was bleeding, but it was just surface wounds, it turned out to be. We got Harry, got him up to the strike headquarters. We got Koski there, and everyone went to different hospitals.
At their home, Mo and Rose Hork receive an emergency telephone call urging them to come to headquarters.
It was bedlam when we got there. It was turmoil. These boys were shot in the back. They were moaning and groaning. The doctor was trying to get to all of them. The nurses were working. And we were flying around getting supplies for them, for those that were attending the sick. It was pretty bad that day. Very bad.
67 persons wounded by the bullets of the police. 2 will die. The first is Henry Ness, 40 years old, the father of 4 children. The events of July 20th, Bloody Friday, galvanized neutral public opinion to the side of the strikers. Eric Severide, then a Minnesota University student, writes that he is as close to becoming a practicing revolutionary as he ever will be. Protest rallies even attract small businessmen as advocates of a continued strike. Fearing further violence, Floyd Olson orders the National Guard into the city. Wednesday, July 25th. 2 federal mediators, Father Francis Haas and E.H. Dunnigan, offer a proposal which comes very close to union demands. The strikers answer yes to the plan, by an overwhelming vote. "We will not deal with this communist leadership," replies the Citizens Alliance. The strike enters its fourth week, having become a battle of wills. By now, the trucking firms are hurting. Many are anxious to agree to the Haas-Dunnigan plan. Some do, but Citizens Alliance pressure keeps the major companies from signing. August 8, 1934. President Franklin Roosevelt visits Rochester, Minnesota. Floyd Olson hurries to meet with him. They spend 4 hours discussing the truck strike crisis. After Olson and Roosevelt confer, Jesse Jones, chairman of the New Deal's Reconstruction Finance Corporation, calls the leading bankers of Minneapolis.
Father Haas claims that what Jones said to these business leaders in Minneapolis and bankers in Minneapolis was that if the strike were not settled within 2 weeks, the Reconstruction Finance Corporation would call in all of the outstanding loans to Twin Cities banks and railroads.
But in the end, it is the persistence and militant tenacity of the strikers which proved too strong for the Citizens Alliance to resist. On August 13th, the employers offer a compromise plan, but the strikers smell victory and reject it. On August 19th, the Citizens Alliance agrees to the essentials of the Haas-Dunnigan plan.
And in 34, I think we got an increase up to about $33 or approximately that figure at that time. So we could probably take care of our families a little bit better because we was working a 48-hour week. And for $18 a week, we just weren't making both ends meet.
Well, after the strike, when he did get this raise, of course, we bought me the first washing machine I ever had with $1 down and so much at the town market. And I was enthralled. I was so happy to have this washing machine. And that was the first and only thing I ever owned that could call my own. Otherwise, it was rented apartments and everything was furnished.
The success of the truck strike leads to the rapid unionization of other Minneapolis industries and sparks labor organizing from Rhode Island to Washington state. Troubled by the mounting disorder, Congress takes notice and passes the Wagner Labor Relations Act of 1935, which guarantees workers rights to bargain collectively through unions. The Battle of Minneapolis is a turning point for labor.